Hey everybody, it's Casey Williams. A few years ago, I tried really hard to get my family to buy a minivan. They were having none of it, so we ended up with a mid-size crossover instead. But I suspect if we took a trip in the vehicle we have this week, they might change their minds. It's the 2025 Chrysler Pacifica Pinnacle. Let's go have a look at it. Well, the Pinnacle is exactly what it implies. It's the top of the Chrysler Pacifica lineup. This is the full-on luxury vehicle in a minivan wrapper. And it really does look the part from the outside too. A few years ago, this is a vehicle, keep in mind, it's basically been on the market for almost 10 years. And I think it still looks pretty fresh and looks pretty cool. But a couple years ago, they upgraded the front, upgraded the headlamps, upgraded the fascias. It looks a little more upscale, a little nicer. The Pinnacle, you get the chrome 20-inch wheels, you get the Pinnacle badge, a lot more of the satin silver finish, especially around the window line. Again, just gives it a little more class and a little more panache. But I just love the shape of this minivan. I know it's hard to love the shape of a minivan, but while some of its competitors just look angry and just look mean and way too modern, this shape has really aged really well. Looks very elegant, looks very beautiful, exactly what it should be. Got power doors on the sides. These are foot operated, but I gotta tell you, I always have a hard time finding exactly where your foot goes underneath of it to get it to operate properly, but they are power. And there's also a switch in here to press to close the doors. I just really like this window line too. Very clever. The wide tail lamps. Still looks almost like a concept car. And again, aged very gracefully. The power hatch in the back is also foot operated. Again, frustrates the crud out of me trying to figure out how to do it. Inside, this is one of the reasons why you buy a minivan over a three-row crossover. There's actually some space behind the third row seat. Go get any mid-size crossover, put the third row back, and see if you can get anything back there other than a couple of teeny little bags. So it's deep, lots of space. You know, my sister has a minivan, loves it. She has 3 kids, plenty of space for everybody. And the nice thing is with these seats, when you want them to go away, you can make them go away. Press the button, power operated. It's a little bit overdone. Takes a little time for the whole thing to go into its cubby. But it does in fact go into its cubby hole. And easy as that, now you have a 4-passenger vehicle, plenty of space for the average family, and an enormous cargo compartment in the back. Well, welcome to the living room. This is where the kids are going to be. I'm going to spend a lot of time back here. Even if you're a parent, you may want to come back and spend some time too. Starts with the seats, front and rear. Got these nice diamond stitch Napa leather seats, absolutely beautiful. Pillows, kind of crazy, but yes. But there's a neat little thing I want to show you back here. There's actually a vacuum cleaner. All your attachments down below, hosers here. So when the kids make their little messes, spill things all over the place, you can turn that on, pick it all up, suck it up, and then there's a collector in the rear cargo area. So I think that's really clever and really cool. But one of the reasons you get a minivan, first of all, step in height, very easy to get into it. Seats, slide it all the way back, lots of leg room. So again, if you're traveling with 4 people and luggage, lots and lots of space back here. Screens on both seats. You can plug in with HDMI here, auxiliary ports. It also has Fire television, so you can connect that. There is a Blu-ray player in the console up there, so you can also play the videos and play movies on the trips too. So and I really like the seats. They're super comfortable. Sometimes in minivans, the middle row seats just aren't that comfortable. These absolutely are. And they're also heated. You've got the nice dual pane sunroof up above, your own air vents. And of course, when you get in the back seat, the seats do slide forward, or you can just go through like the kids do and straight into the back. And once you get back here, there's actually space to go on a long trip back here. Again, the 3-row crossovers we see, even the SUVs, not a lot of space in that 3rd row. This one, scoot these seats up just a little bit, and real humans can sit back here. And once you're back here, it's also power backrests, so you can adjust the seats, own air vents, and just pretty comfortable all the way around. Sitting up front reminds me of why I really wanted a minivan a few years ago. You just slide in at just the right height, easy, just step right in. You don't climb like a crossover, you don't get down into that car. It's really just almost the perfect height. And once you get in here, Chrysler just does a very nice job of laying out the interior, everything being very intuitive, very easy to use, still have the technology you want, but just looking really nice. Really starts, I think, the first thing you're going to notice outside of the diamond stitch seats in this brown coat, I think is really cool. The seats in the rear, like I said, are heated. These are heated and ventilated. Again, I think they're just super comfy and super nice. And I like the brown stitching here in the dash and just some little details that let you know that you bought the Pinnacle of Chrysler minivans. But one of the things I think Chrysler does really well always, the infotainment screen up in the front, very easy to use, very intuitive. You can use the screen, you can touch, you can swipe. The icons down below for the media, your comfort features. This also has the heated steering wheel. I'll leave that off. Automatic climate control, dual zone up in front, navigation, your phone connections, apps. This does have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You also have a wireless phone charger down here in the console. Everything. So you can do that with the screen if you want to. But you'll also notice down below, you have redundant buttons. As a proper volume and tuning knob, which I'm always in favor of. You've got automatic climate controls down here. You can adjust the temperature here. So if you want to do the screen, you can use the screen. If you want to go old school, you can do the buttons and knobs down below. Chrysler, thank you for always doing that. Gear selector right here, it's a dial. Again, very easy to use it. Down below, and we start to see some of the things I really like that Chrysler thinks through thoroughly. They make sure there's a cubby everywhere for everything. You've got cubbies in doors for water bottles. You've got the fly-rich console, space down below it. Nice deep console here, cup holders, more storage here. We've also got power plugs here of all different sizes, both USB types here in the console, auxiliary, and here. And like I said, the Blu-ray players here as well. Anything you want to plug in, there's a place to plug it in. But this is also the Pinnacle, which means it's a luxury vehicle, and beyond the seats, you get the suede headliner up here, nice thick leather-wrapped steering wheel. This has the 19-speaker Harman Kardon audio system, and it just feels right and just feels very expensive. Safety, of course, never going to be overlooked. Automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist, blind spot warning, rear cross path detection. Pretty much everything you need to keep safe out on the road. But one of the other things I think Chrysler does really well, sometimes when you have, the parking sensors in the different systems, it's hard to figure out how to turn them off. You're driving through, McDonald's drive-through, you get your kid a sandwich, and it's just beeping and beeping and beeping. You can't figure out how to turn the thing off. That's right here. Everything on this top row. There's the parking sensors. There's the lane keep assist. You can turn that off. It'll kind of nudge your steering wheel if that bothers you. You can turn that off. This other button is the parallel and perpendicular parking system. So it's semi-automated. It'll guide you right into the spot and steer in there as well. So also some nice little features there. Let's go get on the road real quick. The first thing I notice when I drive this that I always like, and it's one of the reasons I like minivans, is it feels like a car. You sit up high in it, but it drives like a car. I've driven these Chrysler vans. I've driven them in the Midwest. I've driven them long drives. I drove them in California. I've driven them Mulholland Drive out in California through LA traffic. I've driven them everywhere. And it drives more like a European wagon than it does a big bouncy crossover. It's wide, it's planted, the weight's down low in the vehicle, and I think it drives very nice. You got a long wheelbase, so it soaks up the bumps on the highway really nice. And I think that's really the big thing for them, is that as the driver, it really is enjoyable to drive more than you would think a big minivan would. The suspension, independent suspension in the front. This is one of the downsides. It's got a trailing arm rear suspension, so it's not terribly sophisticated, but Chrysler has used a similar setup since the dawn of time, and they've really tamed that rear suspension really well. And if you're not just really adept at trying to figure these things out, you'd never know the difference. So I think it rides really nice, and especially you get 4, 6 people in the vehicle, it settles down, rides comfortably. Power, the 3.6 liter V6. This one is not the hybrid version. They had a plug-in hybrid. This one's not it. Produces 287 horsepower, so plenty of power I think in this. This has all-wheel drive. Again, like a crossover, you get snow, you get some bad weather, get a little bit of ice. The vehicle can handle that without any trouble. Gas mileage, also a plus for this. Keeping in mind, it's a pretty large vehicle with 3 rows of seats and lots of luggage space. 17 miles per gallon in the city, 25 on the highway. And if you compare that to any 3-row crossover that's not a hybrid, I think you're going to be pretty impressed with those numbers. You can tow. You can put a nice size pop-up camper or a boat behind it. It'll tow up to 3,600 pounds. So again, if you're trying to compare it to crossovers, you have a lot of advantages to it. But again, for me, especially the Pinnacle model, I like these big comfy seats. I like the view out of it. I like how you feel like you're sitting down the side of it just a little bit. And when you're on the highway and you're cruising through the mountains at highway speeds, it just settles down and drives so nice. Well, I still haven't convinced my family to buy a minivan, but we also haven't taken one cross country. And I think if we did, especially the Pinnacle Edition, they might fall in love with it too. So let's talk about price. Well, the base Chrysler Pacifica starts about $42,500. This one, as a luxury vehicle, $59,750. So you're definitely in the luxury price category, but if you compare that against other three-row crossovers, I think you'll find that compares very favorably. Well, next week, one other fun car. Until then, storm forward.